Hey, and welcome to this week's weekly energy report. I'm Soul Coach Michele, your friendly neighborhood superwoo, and your co-creative soul coach. This week is going to be just, let's just say, super huge, super interesting. We have not just the regular energy of the week, we have on Wednesday a new moon and a partial solar eclipse in Libra. This is the bookend for the eclipse season that we have just gone through that started with the full moon 2 weeks ago that happened on the 17th of September. And that was the opening of a big eclipse portal for us. Now, if you'll remember, I said in the previous video that week was the opening of pretty much the wormhole to declutter and get rid of all of the leftover crap that happened over the summer from, say, end of June to mid-September. We had a lot of growth. You may have felt very discombobulated. When we do that kind of stuff, it's us evolving. It's us shedding the skin of the old and really taking some time. You're going to be a little tender during that period and re-identifying who we are and where do I fit in? Who am I? What do I really want? When we come into that inner being, that discovering of who we really are. And in doing so, we are shedding ideas, shedding old systems that don't work for us anymore, belief systems, ideas of what other people had for us. Like all of those shoulds are going. And so, much like a snake or a butterfly, when it comes out of a cocoon, you're shedding all of this stuff. Now, this eclipse season was us looking at reviewing all that stuff and then clearing all of those sheddings, for lack of a better term, away. So that's what's going on. But on Wednesday, October 2nd, we now are invited to close out that eclipse season, close out that decluttering time frame, and start stepping into who we are because we're moving. It's the two things are in Libra, which is interesting because Libra is our south node. What we went through was in Aries, which is our north node, where we're going. So think of it this way, like we're leaving behind any imbalances in relationship with self, in relationship with other, which a lot of times causes imbalances in relationship with self because we're worried about what everybody else is thinking, whether it's family, society in general, your workplace. All of these things are open. And really, what it boils all the way down to is your relationship with you and what you value and what you hold dear. Because, of course, Libra is about justice and balance and being in integrity with self. And so, what we're doing in this particular week, because the new moon portal is open around 2 o'clock, a little bit before 2 Central Time. And then the solar eclipse, which is the huge amplification to explain new moons in general, are about new beginning, planting seeds and giving those seeds your energy, like focusing on them and focusing on what it'll feel like when you receive them so that you are fertilizing them with your energy and watering and whatnot. And the interesting thing about a solar eclipse, whether it be partial or otherwise, is it really acts like a new moon. So this all happening together is amping that energy up. So it is a perfect time to really start thinking about what am I planting? What am I doing? What do I want for myself as I move forward? In fact, I think in my notes from the Co-Creative Soul, which you are more than welcome to check out, it's on my website. You can go join or give me a holler and we'll talk about if it's a good fit for you. We do manifesting and we meet for moon circles and we do our spiritual journey together. In that group, every single time there is a full or a new moon, I type up a whole report for my peeps and we do a gathering around that and we do channeled meditation. And what came out of my channeled writing for that this time, there was a lot of stuff about really understanding what it is that I want to let go of the deepest seated stuff that was planted in us that does not serve us anymore. And what came to mind for me when I do conscious channeling, so I'm still there. It's not like Abraham where Esther goes away and Abraham sits down. I work in concert with spirit to channel. So they may come forth with something that I'm like, how do I put this into words that everybody will get? And what came forth was I love Star Wars. So if the Star Wars is your jam, you will totally get this. If not, it's a highly spiritual movie. If you have not watched Star Wars because you're like, hey, I am totally not a sci-fi person, just be sure you're watching episodes 4, 5, and 6, which are the middle ones in the storyline. Or if you are an OG like me, they're literally the first ones that came out back 70s, 80s kind of time frame. But suffice to say, you can find them pretty much anywhere. If you have Disney Plus, they're right there. But the entire series, and actually the arc of the series in general, but that 3-episode series is based on Joseph Campbell's hero's journey. It is the journey every soul takes. And what I love about it is it breaks it up into really great bite-sized pieces for explaining the spiritual journey. And so Empire Strikes Back, which is the middle film, is all about shadow work. I know this is going to be like, what? Yeah, shadow work. Except for some people I know, like some of my peeps out there. I love you guys that are like my sci-fi nerds because you totally get this. But those of you that maybe are more rom-commy, you'll still love it. There's still rom-coms in there, and there's Chewbacca, and we all love him. But the middle movie, Empire Strikes Back, is all about shadow work. The whole thing is about shadow work. So if you think of it in terms of this year, we were in Empire Strikes Back mode in the summer. So end of June to mid-September. And then we kind of had a week break. Mercury retrograde ended, and we all were like, oh, thank God. And then Eclipse season hit. So Empire Strikes Back being about shadow work is so huge because it tells us we were in the cave. And the interesting part about the storyline in that is Luke Skywalker, who is the main character in those ones. It's his journey. Actually, there's a bunch of journeys going on, but in that one, you think it's about him. And he's in the cave learning all about himself and his dark side and his light side and where does he want to be and all that kind of stuff. And literally, who is his parentage and what are their influences on his life? And so he goes in the cave and he hangs out in the cave, literally. And he is like, he has foreshadowing of who his dad is. And I think, I don't want to spoil it if you've never seen it. He comes out thinking, I know all my stuff. I know my thing. I'm good. I'm going to go fight the evils. Not realizing that, like, much like the law of duality, it's like evil and good, it's two sides of the same coin. It's not separate. It's two sides, and there has to be balance in there. So next thing you know, that movie ends with him flying off into the sunset of space. Return of the Jedi is all about Luke Skywalker coming back and really trying to redeem his father, trying to redeem his legacy. And in fact, he learned the thing he missed out on his shadow work is he can't drag somebody up a hill. They have to do it themselves. And part of doing that, he had to clean up all of his skin casings, like snake casings or whatever, that he drudged up during the shadow work. Because he comes out a little cocky. Comes out and I know my shit. And he goes to Jabba the Hutt and rescues Han Solo, and Princess Leia helps, and they do it together, and they're great, and everything's great. He knows he has to go fight one battle himself with his father and the Emperor, and what has to happen is he's thinking, I need to redeem my father. And he goes there, and the Emperor is trying to say, no, I want Luke to come and be on the dark side. So there's this man versus self, man versus father, man versus society, the empire. So in the end, though, Darth Vader is actually the one who redeems himself because he realizes he doesn't actually at first, I want my son with me. That's why I'm going to turn him to the dark side. His whole thing is he ended up in the clutches of fear because of wanting to save and redeem the love that he had for his wife, who was their mother. And he ended up being in fear of losing everything, which he did for a while. And he knew if he could stand in love, he would regain everything, even if it was the last thing he did, which it was. And so he redeems himself at the end. He gets rid of the Emperor. He saves Luke. And he is the one that helps Luke finish his hero's journey. That redemption of choosing. Do I choose the light? Do I choose the dark? That's the invitation right now because we've been through being in the cave. Did we leave a little too early? Possibly. Are we in a space where we're being asked to choose to redeem ourselves, all of us as a collective, by the action of the one and setting the energy back right? Oh, heck yes. This is what's going on right now. This new moon is when we can, of course, you want to plant your seeds that are personal to you. Plant your seeds about what you want to do in your career, how you want to live your life, what maybe living space you want to be in, where you want to go on vacation, all those mundane things. And then they're also about showing up for everybody else and realizing I don't live in a bubble by myself. I live in a community. I live in a neighborhood that's in a city or a town, that's in a state, that's in a country, that's part of a continent, that is part of a globe, part of this spaceship Earth. And we are all together. And the effect of one person can really change the outcomes on global levels. Then you need to sit back and really think about what is it that you want and realize I do have the power within me to make everything that I want come true. And then get back in balance, which is what you would be doing by doing that, taking your soul pieces back, taking that energy back that every time we go out into the world and we interact in ways that maybe aren't as comfortable as we would like, we leave our soul pieces. We need to get those back to recharge ourselves and do that to rebalance our own energy and remember what we want. Who do we want to be? How do we want to show up? What do we want to do? How do I want to be the change in the world that I want to see out there? That's the call. And we have to start inside, getting in integrity, in balance with ourselves. That's what this new moon is about. That's the energy that we're working with, that we're manifesting with this week. Okay. So, with that said, what I want to ask Spirit is what do we need to know this week to support us in that big step of saying yes to self and setting boundaries for the external stuff? So, this week, I'm changing it up a little bit. We are going to do Bradley Valentine's Sword of Light card, which you've seen before. I love these. They're so pretty, and I just found them in a box. The Denise Lynn Sacred Forest, which are so pretty. And oh my gosh, y'all. So I was taking this out of the box and I opened the deck, and the first card right on top of the deck was the unicorn. Unicorn is the national animal of Scotland, which is my favorite place. And I was like, "Oh, Spirit, I know you're gonna send me back there." So I'm manifesting another trip to Scotland. I know it's happening, and we will see. And then, of course, we'll do a meditation minute card, which again, I will link all 3 of these down in the description in case you want to grab a deck for yourself if you love it. And yes, I do get a little smidge of a kickback to support the channel. What I'm going to do first, like we do every week, I'm going to pull a card from each deck for the collective reading. Like what do we need to know from Spirit within that energy that I just described? And then after that, I will go into pulling cards for your personal reading. Okay. So here we go. So let's see, we're going to do our Sword of Light card first. And I think I have it. It jumped out. Oh, yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Yes, for this week. Then we'll pull. See, and this is the front, the common picture on the deck. They're so pretty. The artwork on this one is just amazing. I love Denise Lynn. And I love the artwork on this. So much. Okay, I'm gonna pull this. Be Spirit. Prosperity. Love it. And then we'll pull one. Ah, yes. You can't make this shit up, y'all. So the first card is prioritize self-care. Then the next card is prosperity. And then the last card is just for today, I allow myself to just be. Be. It says, you do so much for others. Look at all the hearts. I love this. You do so much for others. It's time for you to experience the love you deserve and let others help you. Self care could be mani-pedis, getting a massage, reflexology, sitting in a salt room. It could also be doing your accounting. Like for me, doing my business accounting makes me feel good. It's funny because when I was in 8th or ninth grade, I can't remember honestly. Up until then, they wanted me in AP math. And then this teacher, I asked him for help. I said, I just am not grasping this. Like, it's the math you use in engineering where there's like imaginary numbers and stuff. And I totally didn't get it. I even went and I was proactive and said, hey, can I stay after class for 15 minutes for the next couple of days and get some extra help? And he said to me, no, if you can't figure out the math, that is not my problem. I'm here and I am tenured and maybe it's just too complicated for you. Like he was just that teacher. This person colored my view of myself and my ability to do math. And then I read a book, which I love, and I'll link it below too, because if you are in business for yourself, I don't care if you're baking cupcakes or reading cards, this is like the accounting book for people who are not accountants. And I love him. And his name is Mike Michalowicz. He wrote Profits First, which is like my business Bible. He wrote The Pumpkin Plan. There's another book he just put out, but I will link all that stuff below because he explains it in such a beautiful way for people whose zone of genius is something else, but you need to know your accounting to fix it. So I find joy in my accounting. It is my self-care to take care of my financial self, to give me peace of mind, to know where I am financially, both in my business and my personal life. I love it. So self-care could be financial. Self-care could be weeding the garden. Self-care could be taking a nap and giving yourself permission not to feel guilty about it. Self-care might be there's a lot of energy. Like Darren and I have been saying for the last couple of days, I'm like, you feel that? It feels so heavy. And it's like frenetic, the energy, and it's just almost intolerable until we take back control of our energies. Getting a soul retrieval might be self-care. And if you need that, give me a holler, shout out, give me a comment, and I will hook you up with someone who is amazing at soul retrieval. It's not my zone of genius, but I have somebody that I absolutely trust and love and will share. Her name is Mara Clearspring. She has a YouTube channel too. But anyway, self-care is huge right now because, like I said, we're going through this time of really trying to decide, do we want to be on the dark side or the light side? What part of the scales are we going to go to? Fear is a hell of a lot easier to lean into than taking responsibility and accountability without judgment and punishment attached to it and doing the things you need to do to show up, regardless of if someone says something nasty or tells you that you won't make it or has rain on your parade. Boundaries are self-care, putting a boundary in place with those people. All that stuff is self-care. And when we do that, I love this. Be spirit. Be spirit is prosperity. It's almost like we're riding the spirit of the pollinator. Once we give ourselves some self-care, it opens us up to pollinate our ideas, which then lead to prosperity, because prosperity is one of the 3 elements in our soul's purpose. Our soul's purpose is the same for everyone because we all share the same soul. So it's love, joy, and abundance, or prosperity. So when we think about it, you're pollinating your ideas during the new moon. We're focusing on what will it take for me to have the things that I'm putting out there? What would it take for me to shine in the light? What would it take for me to shine my gifts out for all this wonderful stuff to come true? Because right now I'm going to give my energy to pollinate these ideas, to focus my energy on the what ifs that are prosperous. So that's what blossoms. And then again, the last thing, I love how you can't really make this stuff up. Just for today, I allow myself the freedom to just be. Because I think what happens is when we get caught up in all that crap that people are telling us what to do or how we're not good enough or how our idea will never happen, and we have to be our own best cheerleader, giving yourself permission to just be who you are in every moment, regardless of what anybody else thinks, whether it be your Aunt Tilly or your boss or the news or society at large. It takes a lot to do that. And you know what? It's okay. It's okay to be who you are. That freedom alone is like a big giant exhale. I don't got to carry the weight around of all these other people and the responsibilities they want me to take on for them. If I can just be me, because the energy's big and heavy. Because it's almost like I gotta make some big decisions and lay some big plans. I'm gonna put in some serious seedlings that I will cover up right now, and I may not see till spring, but I gotta go do this, and I gotta have big intention and big faith and fertilize all the prosper and lay that groundwork. But I'm pollinating through the path of least resistance, which is self-care, setting intention and then self-caring. And then saying no to everything that doesn't feel right. Saying no to when people tell me I can't. Going in like when I finally was like, you know what, I have to figure out how to do my books. And I don't give a shit if the guy who I took math from 40 years ago thought I was a moron because he didn't know how to teach. I am putting that down. And I'm just going to be me so that I can take care of myself without guilt. And I'm going to use that energy and time that I'm taking that self care time so that I can prosper. That's what we're doing this time. That's the decision we need to lean toward. It may not be the easiest road. It's really how we perceive it. Okay. So that's the thing for this week. Now, if you like what I'm doing here, if you like what I'm talking about, because I don't do fortune telling with the cards, even with tarot, I don't do that. I use them as a tool for spiritual growth and personal growth and helping us see where are the blocks and then giving an answer. Like, I am a big fan of don't just point out the problem, let's point out the solution. So I use my cards to say sometimes we can't get out of our own way because our head's like, I can't figure this out because I'm afraid of it. And we pull a card and we're like, oh, that's what's going on. Okay, let's pull some more cards and figure out what can I do about that? What do I need to do? What do I need to be responsible for and commit to change my life? If you like this kind of reading that's all about personal growth and knowing what you need to know and where with the energy we're working with and taking accountability and to make decisions about what you want and what you need and then committing to it. That's where I am your girl. I am all about that. If you want one-on-one coaching or personal reading, want to join my co-creative soul group, whatever it is that works for you and you love this, if you just love this channel, I would so love if you would click like, if you would click a thumbs up down below so that YouTube knows to share this with other people. And if you're just beginning your journey here with me and you love manifesting, because that's like my zone of genius, again, like I think both our spiritual journey and the manifesting journey are basically the same. They've been compartmentalized. I don't agree with that, but I'm a big fan of learning how to manifest is your spiritual journey. This is how I see it. But if you're new here or you're new to manifesting, or maybe you're a manifesting maven and you want a new perspective, if you want, in the description, I have a free 7 keys to manifesting your dream life. It's an email course with an option to expand it if you want, but it's free and you can sign up for it down below. And I would love to have you. Anyway, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to invite you to choose a number, 1, 2, or 3. So go ahead if you want in the comment section to go ahead and put I choose 1, 2, or 3. And I will be again doing the card pulls, but I will be using for this one because I need to learn this deck a little bit better. I want to be more friends with it because it's so gorgeous. But I'm going to be using the Denise Lynn Oracle deck. And I am going to pull, like I said, 3 cards. So you get to choose 1, 2, or 3. So go ahead and comment 1, 2, or 3 below. And the question we're going to ask is as we progress through this week for the new moon and the solar eclipse in Libra, what medicine do they need? I think that's it. What medicine does this person need? Do you need right now? Okay. So 1, 2, or 3 down below. I'm going to pull a card and they keep wanting to. This one? Mm. Oh, I love all of these. We all love them. Okay. So, number ones, you are maple spirit, which is generosity. I always love this as the giving tree because maple trees are great. We just planted two of them. We planted two huge ones at the new house, one in the front and one in the back. And one of it is because Darren wanted shade trees. It reminds me of that book, The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein, which, if you have not read it, it's a kid's book, but it is such a great and beautiful story. Highly recommend you read it if you haven't. The tree in general gives us everything. The wood is used to build our homes. The process where it exchanges carbon dioxide for oxygen, this generosity of spirit that it is always giving and always changing and always evolving, whether it's giving us maple syrup for our pancakes, shade trees, piles of leaves to jump in or to use as mulch in the fall. The maple tree is just such a beautiful example of generosity. And so my number ones are be generous of spirit throughout. Cause like I said, this is going to be an interesting week of expansion for a lot of people. And some people may not be as okay with that expansion for themselves. They might find it challenging. Be generous of spirit with them and be generous of spirit with yourself. Be generous with grace with yourself. That was another thing I kept getting was be in grace because we might have a little bit of anger, number ones. We might experience it from other people. You might experience it yourself, but don't abandon yourself. Be generous of spirit and make sure that you give yourself as much grace as possible. I feel like that's the story of the maple tree. Now, number twos, you got B spirit again. So apparently, my number two, you pick number two, it's all about really managing that energy to create prosperity for yourself, really focusing on giving energy to those ideas, those intentions, those seeds you're planting in that new moon time frame so that they can be pollinated and grow and have what they need to prosper. So make sure you take care of business when it comes to managing the focus of your energy because energy flows where focus goes and we need to make sure our focus is on high side, not low side. And number three is you get Daffodil Fairy. I love this. And it says new beginnings. So number three is this new moon, and you can't make this up. New beginnings is part of the new moon thing, and it's super amplified because of the partial solar eclipse. And I love how she looks like Tinkerbell, doesn't she? And she's ready to just fly off and start. And daffodils come in the spring. They're like the first bloom in the spring that I've seen, the first kind of bulbs to show their little faces in the spring. And so to me, a daffodil is such a happy energy. We are joyfully going into new beginnings. So whatever it is you're going to start, it feels like this is going to be just, oh, I'm so out the gate and I'm ready to go. So number three is whatever you're working on this week, you're on the right track. It's your new beginning. It's a great start and you're coming out of the eclipse portal just ready to go. I love that for you. So for everyone though, I really wish you a beautiful week. I hope that was helpful. My ones, my twos, and my threes. And I am so grateful that you're here and you're joining me. Again, if you like this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give this a thumbs up, click the bell so you know when I show up and drop more videos, and come and check out the series that I have on soul coaching on what I do and how I do it. I'll link one of the videos here so that maybe here, I don't know, so that you can check that out. And if you ever want to work together, please go ahead and schedule either a private reading, or if you're not sure where to start, we can do a discovery call to see what of my offerings works best for you. And all the links for everything I mentioned are in the description. And I hope you have a great week. I love you so much. And until next time, I will see you in the vortex. Bye, y'all.